Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is the last trading day. Oh, it's the last day of February, and obviously then the last trading day of February. What a month, right? So, especially in the last five trading sessions. So, as we look at the news, right, we had some mixed. We had a mixed bag this morning, right? Core PCE came in line. Personal income was above expectations, meaning the Fed, is going to fight that as well. And then personal spending was down, though. That means consumers are starting to tighten up. They're, a little bit tighter with their money. So that's, going to be interesting to see if that continues. We're going to have news at 9:45, and then we're going to have Mr. Goolsby speaking at 10:15. And that's really it for the day that is scheduled that I'm aware of. And then as we look at next week, just real quick, the major news really is we're going to hear from the ECB on Thursday. That's not major news. It is for Europeans, obviously, but we'll hear from them on Thursday. But non-farm payroll is next Friday, and then, for all of us Americans, daylight savings kicks in on Sunday the 9th, but it doesn't kick in for Europe until Saturday the 29th of March. So we got 3 weeks basically of, going through where we're going to be offset a little bit more than we're used to of where the euro close is at that point in time. But nothing really doing other than that. We are oversold now on the ES, the NQ, the Russell. It doesn't mean that we can't keep driving lower, right? But it means that you know rallies back up can be a little bit more vicious now because these traders know that they're living on borrowed time down here potentially, uh, so they're could be a little bit more nervous. We had with that move we had yesterday, we had a 20-point move almost in the QQQ yesterday from 520 down under 500, and then we went from 6K on the cash down to 58.50. That was a 150-point move down from 600 almost down to 585 on the SPY. So a lot of movement yesterday. If we look at what that did to structure, right? We put in some more bearish single prints, and we, closed on lows. Points of control, right? Did not move down yesterday. They're still quite a ways up there, so it'll be interesting. Keep in mind it would be, fairly reasonable, even though we have these single prints here, to be able to recapture those and actually test these signal prints on what would be a normal. One thing that most traders don't realize or they fail to pick up on because we get so one-sided to the downside. I'm not saying that we're not going to continue lower. I'm just saying what you have to be aware of is that some of the biggest up days in the stock market history have been right after a huge down day, right? So you have to keep in mind that that is on the table, that we could get a face ripper up today. That still doesn't get over yesterday's high, by the way. Uh, but that is, uh, just as I said yesterday, you got a lot of stops that were below yesterday's low for whatever reason. You've got a ton of stops now above yesterday's high. But we have to do this in baby steps. We have to see, read the tape as we're going on, see what's going on. And the first sign of trouble for the the Bears will be getting above 20,900, basically, and then you could actually rip up in short order 150 points above that, as a scenario. So I'm not going to get into each of these, but you have to be aware that's what's the deal is. Uh, Looking at positioning real quick, let's start off with a SPY. If you remember, 595 was a huge marker uh, for this week. So I'm looking at this one. It's the bottom of your screen. And then we had a bunch of traders shove them, closing these out, rolling contracts down to 570. So on weakness, right? If we continue driving lower today, this is, not off the table. We are right now at 586. This will be another 160 points down from where the ES is currently trading. That's not an impossible scenario either. First, you have to get under this 585. And if we look at next week, right, we got lots of traffic between 590 and 570. Uh, as I said, we're trading 586. So the first thing that the bulls would need to do, uh, not so much for today, but for next week, is you would have to start recapturing 590. Keep in mind there are over 40,000. Uh, I'm sorry, there's 27,000, almost 28,000 puts there at 590 today, and then you're looking at 35,000 puts there for the all of next week that was on the board coming in, and then 595 for today. That's going to be your support resistance line. That's the major one to the upside today. 1,474 are sitting there. And then at this 570, there you got 88,000. So these are huge numbers for today and at the end of the month. Looking at the Qs real quick, the Qs are currently trading 556. I think it's fairly easy to say that you want to watch which side of 500 you're going to be on. That's a big psychological level for the traders that do this. I mean, we get caught up in the NQ pricing because we're futures traders, but the futures don't drive the stock market. These calls and puts on the indexes, they're what makes the market move. We can see the footprints on the futures, right? But it's much cleaner looking at the positioning. So 500 is your marker. I wouldn't be too cocky pressing shorts while we're holding above that. And then you have to watch the VIX if we start getting below 500, right? Is it accelerating or not? You can see there's not a lot of not like the SPY has. There's not a lot of positioning that's major. I mean, there's some positioning, but it's not like the SPY where you got big uh, gamma targets below. You've just got some measly ones here. Looking at the cash real quick, 59. We closed at 58.61 yesterday. We're up about 12 points. I'm not even sure what the difference between 4 o'clock and 4:15 was yesterday. To be honest with you, I'll have to wait and watch the market open and see how it goes. But let's just assume that we're right around that 58.60 or yeah, 5860. So that would be down in here. So you can see 5900 is going to be major, an area of gamma above. And there's really not a big one below. You got a little bit of a step here, not too far from where we closed at this 5850, about 10 points from where this cash settlement was. And then 5800, which is only, 60, 1 points lower than where the cash closed yesterday. Um, that's probably your floor. You'd really have to see that. That's where if you get down here and you start going through it, the VIX needs to be much lower than where it was yesterday on the high, and it needs to be one time framing higher to sustain the move down, which is entirely possible. But those are the signs that you need to see. If you get down here and that's not happening, you're probably crossing back over 5,800. You're going to fly up to 5,800 and 50, then you're going to probably fly up to 5,900. It'll be, that's the trajectory that you'll probably be on. Um, Real quick, we have, if you look back, and you should mark this candle from uh, December 18th, you should mark the high and the low of that bell trading candle on all your charts. We have spent basically from December 18th uh, until yesterday inside of that with only 3 sessions that went below basically January 10th, January 13th, and January 14th, right? We spent below there. But so this is where, it was just filling that thing continuously uh, over the last, you know, what do we got here? 2.5 months that it was just sitting there filling. So now we're getting another look below that area. We are on an impulse move down, and then we'll, see where that gets us. Uh, 5801 is the next target down as far as untested points of control, and then 5870, remember, is yesterday's point of control. What would be a little bit more of a bearish tilt, and if you want to take some bearish trades, I think if you get up to 5968 to 5969 half, and you can't get any higher, you're probably just gonna reject, and you're probably heading right down to 5801. Uh, so that's the bogey to watch, and it's not the in seconds. You just want to see, as Jack would say, 25 minutes. You put in that top, then you want to start looking for structure down, in my opinion. And that's your bogey that you're going to be trading against, is that untested point of control from yesterday if it can't trade. Uh, as I said, we have the impulse down, right? Ever since we broke. Uh, Below 21,540 on the Nasdaq this week, right? It's been an impulse down. We had a one and done that was from the for the downside, right? We're used to seeing one and dones as we're moving higher, right? We just had a one and done on a lower trajectory. That's the first time we've had a one and done going lower like this, and to be honest with you, maybe since COVID. Uh, so we'll have to see. It's just not the way the market moves lately. I'm sure there's some in between there, but it's something to be aware of. So this is your bogey line. If you look at it, you've got to look at, for the Nasdaq, you got to mark off the low from the 25th, and the same for the ES. You got to mark those lines off. So basically, you're looking at 20,990 for the NQ, and you're looking at uh, 5924 for the ES. That's the make or break line that you've exhausted, and you're probably going to start backing and filling. We'll have to see if it's one and done, three and done, or whatever at that point in time. But that's quite a bit up. It's about 50 points up from where the ES is trading. Uh, it is almost 400 points up, 370 points up for the Nasdaq. So I could see potentially us actually closing uh, on that level today as a scenario, and we'll have to see what next week would bring. To be honest with you, so overnight action, it's only 42 points in the ES. We're right around where we settled yesterday. We're down 8 points for the NQ. We're up 8 points for the ES. We're up 151 for the Dow. Uh, so it's got a little bit more of a sequence, but you can see it went up here, tested these single prints, and it's still waffling to see which side of those single prints it wants to be on today. So I'm going to leave it here. I think I've given you some stuff to look at, and don't get, like I said, if read the tape and watch, but these points of control from yesterday on strength, that's going to be your make or break line for the Bulls and the Bears today. Um, they, if you can trade over it and wipe it out, then you want to see in 25 minutes which side of those you're on, and then you've got this XS and A that the Nasdaq had and no one else did at 21. Uh, let's get the exact level here. 21,166. That, if you're able to get longs up into that point, I would just be done for the day. That would be a great day. And then we have some lower targets below, but you need to take out these overnight lows and stay below them with a rising VIX to have that impulse really cream down. And I want to mention this one more time. You have to keep in mind that the biggest up days in the stock market throughout the history of the stock market have been after a huge down day. right? So don't get, just read the tape as it's playing out today. You know, we could continue lower, but the odds actually don't favor it. Have a great day. We'll see what Jack is looking at, and I will talk to you on Monday.